Hello, I'm Jennifer Goodman with Good Life Realty, and I am here today with Christina Wise, founder of Good Life Realty, Good Life Luxury, and the Modern Homes Tour. Christina, thanks for having us in your new home today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
So, as the founder of the Modern Homes Tour, you've managed to land yourself in a 8-month renovation right now of a 1999 home that you have turned into this incredible new modern space. So why this particular project and why now?
That's a really good question or questions, and I'm not sure I have an answer for you. But the Modern Homes Tour really came out of the desire to bring an element of modern to Austin. When the genesis of the idea of Modern Homes Tour was there wasn't a lot of modern going on at the time. I mean, now it's funny to say that because there's modern architecture, sort of modern homes, if you will, everywhere. But at the time, it wasn't something that Austin was very welcome to. So I had a love of modern, an idea of sustainability and green elements, and really thought that modern, like the modern lifestyle and the modern home, since I'd always been in real estate, Austin being a modern city, we needed to merge all these concepts together, and voila, there sort of became Modern Home Tour that has really turned into, I think, a display of modern life in Austin, Texas through architecture, and Austin's such a hub of this. So that's where the genesis of this started, and we've had a really successful time doing it. It's been a lot of fun year over year, but I've never had my own home in the tour because I didn't have a project, if you will. So here we are. I didn't do this project to have one in the Modern Home Tour. It's just the timing worked out that way. So it's really fun to have the tour and my own home in the tour.
So as the general contractors on this for you and Gary, you had to make a lot of decisions. And some of the decisions included very specifically on who you were going to work with. So tell me what was important when you actually worked with the architect you did to build those stairs.
Well, that was a relationship. So I've known Travis Young for a long time. In fact, we went to high school together, so that goes back a long time. No, but I love Travis. I've worked with him on small projects. I've referred business to him, and I really respect him as a modern architect. So anyway, that's who I went with, was based on that relationship. And so, yeah, and he had a vision when I said, okay, I want to knock out this whole stairwell. He said, okay, let's do it. And then he got so it was a big engineering project because the stairwell basically held up the house at the time. And I said I wanted to knock that out and create a floating staircase. And he's like, all right, well, where there's a will, there's a way. And he made the magic happen.
Then you also had to make some decisions on who you're going to work with from a design element. And I know you very much have your own style and a lot of vision and decision-making power. So when you chose your designer, what was important about that designer?
Well, I did this entire project probably a little bit unconventionally, which I know that's surprising to you. But I didn't really go seek an architect. I didn't really go seek a designer. I had a vision for the space. Mm-hmm. And then I knew I needed help doing certain aspects of this. When it came from a design, I couldn't just go, let's say, to a normal designer because the whole vision behind this project, I saw it the second I walked in the door, and it's not what you normally see because my goal was I wanted to make the outside, which is a very sort of traditional house built in 1999, and that had a very sort of 1980s-esque interior. But I had a vision for how to pull those elements together. Like, how does it not such a massive disparity between this traditional look on the outside and trying to have this modern interior? So anyway, I worked with a woman that was really great at just measuring and drawing things, was very patient because I would describe what I wanted something to look like, and she'd almost have to go like a sketch artist and draw it, mm-hmm. and then it would take several iterations of that. And then so over 7 months, it's just been piece by piece, sketching in like a white piece of paper and just starting over here and sketching this piece, and she'd measure and do all of her sort of designer architect skills, and then we'd erase it because I'm like, no, that's not quite it, and then she'd sketch some more. So I think that's the beauty of this project. It's a little bit unusual in that I just didn't go to an architect and designer and say, hey, go do it. It's like, no, we had a blank piece of paper and it was in my head, and we slowly colored it in over time, and not even exactly sure how it was going to look. Nobody did, because it was all stuck up here. Even when we started Modern Home Tour, we're trying to really emphasize why modern as architecture and as a lifestyle is really cool, because at the time it was really starting to bring, to show people this, like, elements of sustainability and how you could build sustainability into housing and all these green elements. Like green, when we started this, was people like, green what? Like green is a color? And now it's like everybody knows what sustainability and green means, but when we first started this, these were really new concepts. So now we've had, almost a decade of this, and we've kind of grown into what modern is now. But is green sustainable? Yes, but I think sometimes we've almost gone too far in the sense we've homogenized it, and it's even lost some personality. So what I want to bring into this new evolution of modern, what I'm hoping to do with this project, is to bring, yes, green and sustainable, but to bring in these other elements, these other concepts of earth. And organic, healthy. I almost died in 2013, and a lot of it just came from a toxic environment. I got heavy metal poisoning, and so now when we built this, it had to be very, yes, sustainable and green, and these sort of overused words that we use now, but it had to be a healthy house. So how do we look at elements that are earth, and how do we build a healthy house and make it modern, but make it blend with sort of this traditional exterior, but make it blend with the environment around it and pull all these things together. Part of, like you said, is what I want to introduce is this concept of being more conscious of what are the chemicals that are in the products of everything when it comes to especially construction. But you don't have to break the bank to be healthy in your house. You just have to be thoughtful, and you have to make certain choices and maybe make compromises in other places in order to, I could have maybe gone crazy with the very uber expensive dining room chandelier or whatever, but no, I put the differential into making sure I got green floors that, that are sustainable and have no chemical gases, for example.
Yeah, and you have been very thoughtful, because you've saved a lot of things from going to waste and not ending up in landfill. For example, some of the things that you left in the house that you didn't peel back were very conscious decisions. You could have ripped them out and you chose not to. And then there were things that you ripped out, like the walls, right to the studs, for good reason.
Yeah, so for example, you're right. Like all the sheetrock in the house was replaced because we had to check for mold. A lot of houses have mold, and mold is a real epidemic. Many of us are sick because we have mold in our walls and our houses, we don't even know it. That's a whole other conversation, clearly, but we used a green board in the house for sheetrock that doesn't mold, and all of our paint is no VOC, and the wood floors, like everything. We built the house as healthy as we could, and yes, we did keep things. For example, we could have ripped out all the cabinetry, but we kept some of the cabinets. Just why rip them out if you don't have to? And we're reusing some of the bricks we took off, and we'll use them other places. So we really were selective, to your point, to try to keep as many things as we could. And we have a lot of reclaimed things in the houses as well. So we have reclaimed vanities and different things that we chose to bring sort of that reclaimed earthiness back to the house versus just everything brand new and sleek and sometimes almost sterile. I didn't want this to be a sterile modern. I wanted it to be organic modern. You walk in, it's very modern, and we built the house to match the interior and the exterior environment to really be a whole lifestyle that's about being grounded, modern, happy, healthy, and trying to pull all those pieces together. I think when people walk through the house and they see what we are able to do, they'd be surprised that we didn't spend probably twice the amount of money we actually ended up spending, because we had a budget. We had a specific amount of money, and that's it. And and I do design to that in mind, is that this is phase one, and so this is a phase, and I already have a phase 2 and a phase 3 that's in the back of my head when I have the budgets for that, or the time, or I'm willing to take on the scope of that next phase 2 project.
Right.
But to me, that's kind of the way I work, is sort of this iterative style. But to get back to answer your question, like, no, I'm really happy with what we have, and we'll see how long it lasts before the next project.
Well, so far then, do you have a favorite part of the house?
I mean, the staircase is probably my favorite, just because, you know, when people see, I think, the before and after, they're going to say, like, holy shit, like, how was she able to see that? Because when you first walked in, you saw this old, ugly stairwell, and now my vision was that the stairs would be the centerpiece of the house and sort of that central point, and you kind of live around this floating staircase. And you know, the engineering, we had to design it to the aesthetic, met the engineering requirements, and I think that really pulled off nicely, you know, at the end of the day. So I'd say, yeah, that's my proudest thing, to figure that one out.
What's really cool about this house and being part of the Modern Home Tour is that you really are a gut renovation. So do you have any words of wisdom for the people out there who maybe are considering taking on, you know, a 1990s house or a 1980s house or something like that, and really doing a gut renovation?
I think, to answer your question, is we're a partnership in this, and we sort of lead, and it requires a lot of communication. So the most frustrating and most costly breakdowns in this project, that tends to be, you know, across the board in any aspect of life, business, personal, whatever, but it's just that we didn't communicate on something, so the line of communication didn't go all the way through. So I said something, and maybe I said it to Gary, it didn't make it to so-and-so, or I mentioned it to the contractor, didn't make it back over there for that. And so my biggest pieces of advice are, number one, know that the projects like this are frustrating, so there's going to be moments, and you have to be able to roll with the punches. Number two, I'd say treat your people well, treat your contractors well, and give them some autonomy to work with you, because I think part of even our contractors, they love working on our projects because we were a joy to work with, and even through the mistakes, even through the miscommunications. And then on the other side of that is make sure you have good people, because you can hire a lot of people that aren't, you know, don't back the quality of their work. And but then, yeah, just the communication piece, and be in the love of it together. Like, you know, sometimes I think that's the great thing, is that Gary and I are both excited about moving in and what this is going to look like, and, you know, and then there's the trust and the communication, and then we just both are crazy enough to call this fun. And that would be that final piece of advice is, I don't know, just remembering that, like, be in the house and let it kind of guide you, be in the land and touch the dirt, and maybe just not have to make it so perfect within some rigid linear, it's got to be this way, otherwise it's not going to work.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, thank you. That is a really great deep dive into what this modern renovation has been. I can't wait for it to be finished so that you can move in.
Yeah. We're ready.
Stories.
We're ready to move in and create new stories, and really display and see if this concept of organic, modern, earthy, texture, healthy, and some of these new words I want to bring to modern, but really the healthy aspect. Healthy is so important. Organic, earth, these different, like a different, and the next layer of green and sustainable, and reclaimed, and still use some of these more modern concepts, but like I said, make them a little bit deeper.
Yeah, great. Well, I'm Jennifer Goodman, and you've been listening to Christina Wise tell us about her Modern Homes Tour renovation and bringing in eco, sustainability, earthiness, organic, and coining a new phrase,
organic modern.
Organic modern. Thanks for tuning in.